welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I shall be your host for today or this evening or the morning, whenever you're listening, because after all, it's your podcast. Joining me today is a gentleman who we've been kind of talking back and forward for a little while now, and in fact, back in the days when me and Colin were used to do our segment about giving it a kick, it was one of the games that we kind of mentioned. That game at the time was called Kill the King. The company in question is Tompet Games, and the gentleman behind it all is Petter Schanke Olsen. So, hello Petter.
Hello. You managed to say my name very perfect. So, very good.
That's okay. As I say, I think I checked it beforehand, and it's lucky I did. Otherwise, I would have been making a right fool out of myself.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank
as
you
I
for
say,
having me.
We've been we have kind of talked back and forward for a while. I'm aware of yourself through Kill the King, the first Kickstarter that you did, which funded well. Your next one, which is coming up, which is going to be called Donning the Purple, which we're going to talk about. Also, we want to have a talk about all these lovely interviews that you're doing with all these people, which is making me extremely, extremely jealous. I think the first thing we need to do is to say hello to everybody out there who's listening. Tonight we have a selection of hot chocolates, marshmallows, and there's also some bacon sandwiches on the side if you want to help yourself. The reason that we do this is because, well, there's not enough podcasts out there about board games. And the second reason that we're doing this is because Petter's got a Kickstarter coming up in the foreseeable future, over the next couple of months. Mm-hmm. And his first one did really well. So I'm aware how you go about killing the king, but I'm interested in how you go about donning the purple. But first of all, we'd like to know a little bit about your history. So we want to have a little peek back in the past. We want to have a little stare at the present, and we want to have a little high into the future. So, do you want to start off by telling us kind of like a little bit about how you got into the hobby, how you got into kind of like tabletop board gaming, things like that, Petter?
Yeah, sure. I have always been playing games as far as I can remember. I played a lot of Monopoly back in the day when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I was I really like. I was a bit capitalistic when I was a kid. I liked all games with paper money, and I felt rich when I played them. I wasn't that rich, unfortunately, but it was a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also played a lot of card games with my grandparents.
All right.
They taught me a quite obscure and complex card game called Canasta. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of Canasta. Yeah, it's right up there in terms of difficult things you can do with a 52 deck of cards.
Yeah. It's amazing how difficult it is. I remember when I was trying to teach someone the game, they just looked strange at me, and it was almost like I was just inventing rules as I was playing along, because there are so many random rules there. If you have so many red threes, you get the bonus point there, and it's strange.
It's kind of like, what would you prefer, Canasta or learning Twilight Imperium? And people are like, I'll have Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
When you play Monopoly,
mm-hmm.
I take it it's all based around Norwegian cities and places like that. Do you have you'll have the go to jail section, and you have the train stations? Is it pretty much to set out the standard Monopoly, just with kind of like different place names?
Yeah.
Are they all based around kind of famous places in Oslo, or is it a particular city that they They based them around?
Yeah, actually the old game was called Monopoly, but in the game that I played the most was a new version of it, and it was called Millionaire, and it's basically the same concept, but as you said, it's with the street names from Oslo.
All right, okay.
And instead of trains, it's boats. I think I don't remember. Right. Yeah, boats. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was also a rip-off of Millionaire that was called the Trondheim game. I'm from the city of Trondheim in the middle of Norway, and that was almost the same thing, but just with the street names or company names from the city where I'm in, and it was quite harsh, because one of the chance cards you could draw, it was you just lose the game.
Was it just like that?
Yeah,
just to go home.
Yeah, it was quite bad to get that card when you were just a kid, and you get slapped that in the face. So yeah, it was a rough time growing up here in Trondheim.
Was it? Did you got brothers and sisters that you grew up with, or was it just yourself?
No, I got a sister, but I played these kind of games with my friends for the most part.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So your grandparents were teaching you kind of like canasta and I guess poker and
no
blackjack.
No, we weren't allowed to play poker at their homes.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? No, I used to. Yeah, I played dominoes with my grandfather, and he always used to take us for money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what did you carry on kind of playing all the way through, or did you kind of take a break and education and stuff kind of got in the way, or what was your journey kind of after that?
Yeah, I pretty much played Magic on and off again for about 15 years. And of course, I discovered beer when I was studying. So I had a little board game break for a couple of years there.
Mm-hmm.
But then I settled down with a wife and a dog and a daughter. And then I rediscovered board gaming again with the usual gateway games with the Settlers and Dominion, and I was hooked again. So that's perhaps 3 or 4 years now. Yeah, and really? I'm rarely playing any computer games anymore, because I'm either playing board games or developing board games. So it's board games has been my new hobby now for 3 or 4 years.
Do you have a regular group that you kind of play with then? Yeah,
I have, but all my friends are, or most of my friends are just having their first baby born.
Right, okay.
So it was a little bit funny, because me and my wife and a friend and his wife were we were pregnant at the same time, and we were playing Pandemic Legacy.
Okay.
So we had to really hurry and play through all the year before we gave birth.
So it was like a time scale, because most people that I've found when they've been playing Pandemic Legacy, it's like they're almost like they're playing like a month.
Yeah.
So you basically.
Yeah, we had 3 or 4 sessions where we played 6 hours straight.
Really?
Yeah. So that was when. Me and my friend were so happy, because we were outside and our wives were inside playing or setting up the game, and they told us to hurry because they wanted to play, and then we knew that we had found our matches in partners that they enjoy board games so much as well as not as much as we are, but they want to play games a lot, so that's a good thing.
So do you have quite a decent collection of games then?
No, sadly no. I only have perhaps 20 or 30 games.
Sadly.
Yeah. but luckily I have friends that have hundreds of games, so go to their place and play a lot of games when I'm.
That is just so typical of a board gamer.
Yeah,
it's like, do you have a big collection? No, I don't. I only have 20 or 30 games. But some of my friends, they have a better collection. They've got hundreds. It's like, I suppose even video games, maybe you have about 20, 30 games, but you usually kind of swap them in and out and change them. You know, it's like, I've got, how many golf clubs you got? I got about 30, but I know a friend who's got a couple of hundred. I mean, it's the only hobby where, by having, you know, you could be considered like almost like, you're not a serious board gamer though, and if you've only got 20 or 30 board games.
Yeah.
Is there any reason for that? Is that because Mrs. Olsen has put her foot down and said, no, you can't have any more? Or is it just space?
Yeah, I think it's a combination, because the really sad part, or the good part, is that the board games are in the room of my daughter, and she's only a couple. She is not. She's 5 months now, so
wow.
Eventually I have to replace my board games with her stuff. So yeah, that's life.
Can you not just kind of, I guess, teach her how to play Catan when she's 6 or 7 months old?
Yeah, I have put up a plan of all the board games I'm going to take her through. So. But my biggest problem is that I only have perhaps 50% of my games are Axis and Allies and really heavy strategic games. So I have to teach her quick to reach that level.
Well, I mean, that's what you're going to have to do. There's kind of, you're going to have to teach her how to talk. You're going to have to teach her how to walk. You're then going to have to teach her how to use a left flank attacking maneuver in order to take this. In order to take the site, you know, to take down an opposing army. I mean, that's probably just before she moves on to kind of eating solid food. I would think. Kind of board game attack and defense tactics will be right there, kind of right there in the kind of the middle. Basically, I would think. Yeah. So, what kind of games? I mean, what kind of games are you playing at the moment? Because you're quite heavy into the kind of the tactical war game side of things. Then is that kind of what you like? Yeah.
Yeah, I can play pretty much anything except 2 light party games like Cards Against Humanity. I'm not a fan of that. I respect people who play them, but I'm not playing them too much myself. But I prefer games that takes the longer the better, almost, because if you are playing let's say a 6-hour game of Axis and Allies, so you have to really be inside the game, and every decision matters, because if you just take a decision lightly and you screw up the whole thing, you have just thrown away so many hours. So we have to be really focused when you play, and I really like that, because if you are playing just 15-minute filler game, you don't care about what you're doing almost, because you know that the game is only going to last for a few moments. So I really like to have meaningful decisions when I play games. But I also like smaller games that can take up to an hour only. But I really like the strategic games, and not too abstract. I like to have a concrete theme. And preferably historic theme. I really like that. So, yeah.
So, do you play games like Command and Colors?
No, I haven't actually. I think I haven't heard about that actually. But I play Axis and Allies, and I also play a bit of miniature games, Flames of War.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I played a war game called The Battle for Norway. It's a Norwegian game about when Germany invaded Norway, and that's really cool. And as I say, the more complex the better.
So do you like, is happiness for you kind of like a big table with a couple of huge rule books, a pile of miniatures and dice, and just kind of going kind of head to head?
Yeah.
What's the most recent thing that you've bought or recently that you are really enjoying, or what you kind of playing at the moment that you're really, really kind of enjoying that's quite new for you?
Yeah, I just got back from Essen, and I bought some games there. I bought Agra, if you have heard of that. I think it's a fairly new game. It's Indian themed from I think. I just passed it when I was walking in the mess in the game hall, and it has a really big map. I love games with big maps. And they have small counters and all of that. So I just had to do some more research, and the price wasn't. Yeah, it was a bit heavy, but I had some room in my briefcase, so it was the last game I bought, and I think the complexity level on Board Game Geek on that game was 4.5 or something.
Okay.
Where 5 is the top. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to dive into that.
Did you manage to resist kind of buying lots and lots and lots of games from Essen then?
Yeah, it was really hard because as I say, I really like games with maps. So every time I walked past a game that had a big map and small counters, it was really hard.
Did you kind of, your little eyes went, "Ooh, I could have this"? Was your wife with you when you were at Essen then, or was she back at home?
No, she was back home with the baby.
All right.
So it was the first time in 5 months that I could do this full time for 4 days. That was quite fun.
Did you get like a budget? She goes, "Okay, here's your money. Here you go. Here's your money for your travel. Here's your money for petrol for the car you're traveling. Here's your money for your lunches, and here's your money for your games."
Yeah, no, I knew that I have to be restrainful because my gaming collection is my game closet is full, and
it's fairly obvious.
Yeah,
you have to put it under the cot, or you put it under your bed, or
yes. So I only bought 7 games or something like that. It was and Agra was the heaviest, and then I bought Anachrony.
Yes.
Yeah, and this War of Mine. So these were the 3 big boxes, and then some few smaller boxes like Import Export. If I heard of that,
the name rings a bell. Yep.
Yeah. Oh. So it was hard. So next year I will dig a hole in my basement so I can fit more games.
Your wife's gonna come back home from work or whatever, and you're gonna be banging away at the side of the house. She goes, "What are you doing?" "I'm just building an extension, darling." It's like, "Oh, is that for our daughter?" No. It's for the cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're gonna I'd love to hear later on what you think of Anachrony when you get a chance to play it, because I heard the guys on Polyhedron Collider, Steve and Andy and John, who's my favourite, they kind of waxed lyrical about it. They said they kind of had a lot of fun with it, because you basically, what did they say it was really interesting that you could use resources that you didn't have, but you had to make sure that you had them in the future to be able to send them back kind of through time, which sounded absolutely kind of amazing. They also actually spoke about This War Is Mine as well, which they've said is it's a bit dark, in terms of how it goes. But they said, what did they say? They say it's not a game you would crack open if you were wanting to have some fun.
No,
they say it's a bit of is a bit of a kind of a dark game. So I mean, I get our games. I don't know. I'm not sure about the infrastructure, because obviously I'm not sure about the infrastructure in kind of Norway in terms of getting hold of new games. Is it quite easy to get hold of the latest kind of cardboard and things like that? Is that quite an easy thing to do? Is it a bit more difficult?
Yeah, it depends on where you live. I live in the third biggest town in Norway, and we have one big good board game shop, and
right, okay.
And there's some other stores that have some board games, like the more family friendly board games, but but we can also order online and stuff, so that's no problem.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. What made you to decide to go from kind of playing the heavy games to kind of designing them yourself? I mean, because to Kill the King, was that last year now that you did it? Was it you?
Yeah, it was
you ran the Kickstarter
last September. Yeah,
last September, but you delivered it by, was it January, February of the following year? It was a very, very quick turnaround. Yeah. I mean, what inspired you to pick up to kind of pick up the white pieces of paper and start designing something yourself?
Yeah, I by day I'm working in the film industry in Norway, so I like to create stuff. And when I got back into board gaming, I just played around with the thought of perhaps creating my own game, but I didn't have any ideas to how I could do it. But suddenly on Christmas Eve, when I was standing in the shower. Not on Christmas, not in Christmas Eve, but Christmas morning. Yeah, and then I just was a thought just popped into my head about some flanking maneuver thing. Yeah. I guess you also think about that in the shower, don't you?
No. There's no flanking maneuvers when I'm having a shower.
Yeah. And then I just continued to think about that flanking maneuver, and
it's really don't want to do.
Yeah.
And then so you had your flanking maneuver in the shower.
Yeah, and then I went out of the shower.
Okay. I hope you dried off.
Yeah, and did all the necessary things there, and then I ran upstairs and grabbed the closest piece of paper I could find, and just drew some squares and numbers and stuff, and I forced my sister, who was the closest person at the moment, to play the prototype. And she is not a gamer, so she was a bit relentless at the beginning. But as we played the first prototype, she actually had to admit that maybe I was into something.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, and then I just continued to develop that game, and that turned out to be Kill the King eventually.
Okay. Was there quite a difference between I guess there probably was quite a difference between the first ones. I take it the first version was, the second version wasn't as wet as the first version. Yeah, second version was smudged.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite a journey from a wet thought, if I can call it that, until a cardboard prototype. Yeah.
I mean, it was the turnaround, because was it when you were designing this, when you kept on obviously the cardboard counters and everything like that. When you were designing it, was there a temptation to kind of go down the lines of making kind of miniatures, making the castle a bit more solid? You know, was there that kind of temptation at the time, or were you quite focused on saying, well, I want to keep this as kind of as simple and as pure as possible. Because looking at the game, it was a very simple, on the outset anyway, it was a very, very simple kind of setup. You had like a nice board, and then you had your game board, which was quite simple, and then you had your units, your attacking units, your defending units. You had kind of like broken wall indicators, and you had one dice, a single 6-sided dice. Was that budget, or was that more a case of you playing Axis and Allies so often you were kind of used to using very simplistic pieces to represent kind of maneuvers and stuff?
Maybe I should just tell what the concept of the game was. So Kill the King is a medieval based game for 2 players, where one player is attacking a castle, and the other player is defending the castle, and inside the castle there is a king that the other player wants to kill, and that's the meat of the game actually. And we have several units that they can choose from, and that they buy at the beginning and stuff. You can normal units like archers and knights, and a bit more special units like siege towers and burning pigs.
Yeah, you've got archers, you've got spearmen, you had catapults.
Yeah, and the stretch goal. One of the stretch goals was burning pigs. So we got that. But that actually happened. It was actually the Romans used to have pigs drink oil, and it was. Not good.
I don't know whether to believe you, or I just
I had to look it up before I actually put it in the game. So
wow. I suppose afterwards you could have always eaten the pigs.
And
you would have had a lovely snack.
You didn't need any cooking oil, so
no, exactly. All you didn't need would have been 2 massively huge slices of bread.
Yeah,
and you could kind of put them either side of the of this thing that was sitting there. I mean, it did well.
Yeah, to answer your question, it was very tempting at the beginning to have miniatures and more complex stuff in it. But I wanted to keep things simple for my first game, and not to have too many complicated components. So I just learned the process of creating the game and shipping and the whole Kickstarter business. So I'm really happy that I had a modest first game in both numbers and complexity of the production side.
Because you also made things like you had a simple kind of attack and defense game, but you also had the kind of the Giga mode as well.
Yeah,
which is like you had kind of like you had to buy 2 copies of the game, and then you made like a huge, massive castle, which was pretty cool. Yeah. When it came to the stretch goals, did you have that many stretch goals kind of planned out? Did you expect it to kind of do 3 times the kind of the project target, or were you really quite surprised that it ended up doing so well?
I had a pretty low target goal. I think it was around $4,000 or something.
Yes.
Yeah. And the total funding was around around $12,000 we got in. So that was very good. I really hope that I wanted to have a game that I could have a really low funding goal the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had the core components. I was sure to include only that, and then build on top of that with more units and stuff. So I had planned all the stretch goals before I launched. Yes.
Okay. Did you Have you ever thought about going back and doing kind of like a second printing, a second edition with kind of different components, or you quite happy with the way everything kind of turned out?
Yeah, it's tempting, but the first print run only had around 400 units, and we just sold out I delivered my final copy to a guy in Essen. So the first print run is now done. So we'll see in the future how the community responds to it, and we'll take it from there. I'm not totally against it, but we'll see what the future holds.
Okay. One of the things that was really noticeable about it was the box art.
Yeah,
was lovely. It was beautiful looking, and that was I know the guy's name. It was is it Jose Pena who did the art? Yeah. Are you keeping him for the kind of the next game, Donning the Purple?
No, I'm not. Not that I not have nothing to do with him. But his art is amazing. But I was just discovering more artists when I was researching Donning the Purple, and I saw some art from a guy called Joueri. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Joueri Lefebvre or something. And he had done some really cool Roman themed art. And I contacted him, and he was on board. And he has done a lot of art for Donning the Purple, which is my next game. Because and in that game we have more art pieces and stuff. But I wanted to continue the tradition, if you can call it that, to have an amazing box art, because that is a good way to get noticed out there, I think.
So Donning the Purple is, I mean, it's what Petter did next, but I mean the difference already between what you can see in Kill the King in terms of the components, the number of components that you've got. You've got player boards in Donning the Purple, you've got counters in Donning the Purple, you've got little pawns in Donning the Purple. I see that you have sneaked in a little map.
Yeah. Yeah. There is the map is made from a guy from Holland. He has a fantasy map designer. He has made a lot of maps for role-playing games.
Right, okay. And
he is also a cartographer. I don't if that's English word. Yeah. So we have really done a good and long process with making this map. It is really detailed, and it turned out just the way I wanted it. And it is the map over the Roman Empire. And in almost every province there is a building that was famous in its time, and we have made a small drawing of that on the map as well. So it's really detailed, and it's quite good, I think.
So what were you doing? Were you having a bath when you came up with the idea for Donning the Purple? Were you having a shave, clipping your toenails?
No, I was.
What kind of personal hygiene thing were you up to?
Yeah, it wasn't so exciting as the shower. I was out walking my dog and listening to a podcast, a podcast about the history of Rome.
All right.
And while I listened to that, I thought about why people wanted to be the emperor of the Roman Empire, because it sounded like problems all the way. Everybody hated you and wanted to kill you, and there was problems occurring all over the empire, and you had to make sure you had the line of succession after you die and all of that. And it inspired me to make Donning the Purple, to create that same feeling like the Emperor had back then.
So do you want to tell us? Yeah, I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit about the kind of how you play it, the mechanics? Because there's cards here. I mean, you've got it's not just the case of here's the maneuvers. I mean, you've got it looks like you've stolen some breath mints as well, because there's little white discs.
Yeah.
It's either that or you've been in the paracetamol.
Yeah.
You've not just got one dice. You appear to actually have 4 6-sided dice. Yeah. And also a 4-sided dice as well. So you've kind of gone from the simplicity of Kill the King to the complexity of trying to run the Roman Empire. So yeah, I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit about the kind of the mechanics behind it?
Yeah, sure. Donning the Purple is an asymmetrical King of the Hill game with a bit of worker placement in it. Each player leads a powerful family in ancient Rome, trying to get the most victory points during 4 rounds, where each round is 1 year in the Roman Empire. And the setting is that the previous emperor was killed by his own bodyguard, and it has left a power vacuum that the families in Rome are trying to fill. And if your family member becomes the new emperor and manages to hold the position, he can earn a lot of points. But he will also become the target of the other players, as they will try to dethrone him and become the new emperor themselves. So if you're on the top, you're getting a lot of flack from the other players and the citizens of Rome as well. So it's a stressful job, but if you can manage to keep the people happy, you can make it big.
Okay. Yeah. So is there a little bit of risk reward? Do you kind of gain more points if you are the position of kind of, I guess, as Caesar? Do you kind of have more points, but you have to deal with all of the flack that comes with it as well then?
Yeah, the emperor gets points according to the happiness track. The happiness track shows the happiness of the Roman people, and if that marker is high, you get a lot of points. But if that marker is low, you get only 1 point to each round, or perhaps you're dying if they are really angry with you. So
there's actual murder involved as well.
Yeah. And another important aspect of the game is your stamina, because I said it was a worker placement, but it's actually a stamina placement. Because when you on your turn you are doing different actions, and each time you do action, you are using one of your stamina, and when you are out of stamina, you die. Or your family member dies, and if you are the emperor and you die, you have to make sure that the title of emperor stays within your family. So you have to make sure you have an heir and stuff. But do you prioritize that over feeding the people, perhaps? So we have to make some tough choices as the emperor.
Okay, so you've got a choice to do different things to keep the people happy, or do things to kind of keep yourself in power.
Yeah.
I noticed on some of the player boards you've got, I'm looking at the player board just now, and there seems to be kind of like different challenges on the player board. You've got ones that say famine, like in Region 1.
Yep.
You've got the different main cities as well. But I'm looking at the kind of the player boards for the emperor, and he's got like the option to build an aqueduct. They've got an option to basically collect enough grain so the provinces are kind of fed. Your stamina seems to be little white discs. I take it you put those little white discs where you're wanting to kind of, they help you kind of control what you're what you're doing at the same time.
Yeah.
This is a big. This looks like this strikes me as somebody that has played kind of a lot of kind of strategic, kind of war type kind of games. How long? I mean, have you been playtesting this a lot of the local group? Have you had a lot of people you've played it with a lot of people so far?
Yeah, we have been playtesting it a lot, and the playtime of it varies around 70 to 90 minutes. It depends if it's your first time or not.
I was kind of expecting you to say it's going to be about 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Based on what you've said so far about Axis and Allies, it's just like, it's just a small game. It's only going to take 3.5, kind of 4 hours.
Yeah.
To kind of go.
maybe not my next game, but because I think it's harder to market a game that's the last 6 hours. I think so.
Yeah.
We'll start small.
Have you? I mean. How far are you? How close are you to kind of finishing off the game? Would you say? I mean, is that it? Are you completely happy with how it is just now? Do you still think there's kind of like a reasonable amount of work that you have to do, or are you, where are you? Are you ready? Are you ready? Could you go ahead and launch? If you were ready, could you go ahead and launch the Kickstarter campaign kind of like tomorrow if you wanted to?
The game itself is ready. I think we just have to tweak some small amount until it's ready, because or the art, we have to do some small fixes there. But the core mechanic of the game is complete now. We agreed on that after the play testing we did in Essen, and everything worked out fine. And so the game mechanic is complete, and but we can't launch tomorrow, I think, because the Kickstarter page is not complete yet.
Well, what are you doing? Get on with it.
Yeah.
My goodness.
So, but the plan now is to perhaps launch sometimes in February or March next year.
Yeah. Okay.
And we are sending out the review copies to reviewers at the end of this month. So that's where we are now, basically.
Have you had to? Have you found with I mean, when you did Kill the King, I think what you did was you said, okay, if you want to you can have a play of the game. If you want to do, there's a print and play version. Are you running a kind of a print and play version for kind of reviewers this time, or are you kind of expected to actually send over almost like a fully working copy? Has that kind of changed for you? On Kill the King we only had 3 review copies, and this time on Dawn in Purple we are putting together 8 okay.
8 copies, so we have upped our game a bit there, and of course if we are out of review copies, we are happy to send print and play files to any reviewers that want to test it. But the plan is also to once one of the reviewers are finished with the game, they will send it to the next reviewer. So we will have more reviews than just 8, hopefully. Yeah. So my plan is to have lots of reviewers and previews on Kickstarter page.
Yeah, have you felt, just with the current climate on Kickstarter, that you really have to be doing a lot of marketing before you consider kind of launching? I mean, we're only in November. If you're talking about kind of February, March, that's a kind of a long lead time.
Yeah,
you're kind of given. Have you given it so long because of let's touch into this other part, and we'll come back to kind of Donning the Purple, but you've been speaking to a lot of kind of Kickstarter creators yourself.
Yeah,
you've been interviewing kind of like a lot of designers, and you've been doing that for is it almost a year now at least, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I started a Kickstarter interview blog, I think it was, perhaps November last year or something. I was inspired by the almighty Jamie Stegmaier, and I read his blog when I still do when I was creating Kill the King, and one of his advice was to just reach out to different Kickstarter creators and just ask them one tip. Ask them if they only had one tip to give you, and I did. I talked to Peter Blenkarn at Inside the Box, and some others, and I contacted them through the Kickstarter messaging system, and they kept on giving such great advice, and I thought, why not share it with everybody else? And so that's the idea of where the idea of the blog was born. And then I started to interview different Kickstarter creators about all the things they did before and during the campaign, and it hasn't stopped yet, and everybody is sharing so much useful information. So it's really useful to talk to all the creators, and I'm looking forward to each week posting a new interview.
Yeah, because you've had some really decent names. In fact, you had the head of the actual Kickstarter section for kind of tabletop.
Yeah,
on yourself.
Yeah, Luke Crane.
Yeah,
I think his name was that. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember looking at that and thinking two things. The first one was, that's really cool. Petter got the head of the tabletop Kickstarter, and the other thing was, I can't believe he's got the head of Kickstarter on. I was just like, what? How did he get him?
Yeah,
he won't even return my emails. What's going on here? How did he manage to do that? But has this? I mean, running the interviews, has that kind of taught you a lot about how you're going to be approaching Dawn in the Purple? Because you've kept up with the noise since, to be honest, since the kind of the campaign was wrapped up for Kill the King. Donning the Purple was the next thing that kind of pretty much kind of the noise and the publicity for Donning the Purple kind of came up pretty much straight after that. In fact, I remember, I guess you first made me aware of what you were doing with Dawn in the Purple. Must have been it was very very early on this year, pretty much. If I'm checking, as I'm looking at my let me just check the email history. I think we had a chat kind of almost like March, April of this year, and you said, well, listen, this is going to be the next game, can we have a chat about it? And this is why we've pushed it back, so we were aware of it. There wasn't much point in talking kind of in August, September time if the campaign wasn't going to be running kind of like in if it was going to be February, kind of March, but you've kind of kept the noise coming up. Have you had people kind of contacting you from the original Kill the King campaign, kind of interested in what you're kind of doing next? I mean, are you still communicating? Are you still reaching out to the people that originally backed kind of Kill the King?
My marketing plan for Donning the Purple, the first entry I put in there was perhaps January or February this year, and I have and I have performed that every week up until now, and I will continue to doing that all until launch, and perhaps or hopefully until we have funded. But it's the thing that I had learned from all the interviews, that marketing takes time. And not just that you have to market yourself, you just have to contribute to the community and talk to everybody about what you are doing and commenting on other stuff, and continuing to nurture your backers from your previous games, and and since they backed my game, I think they are pretty cool. So I enjoy talking to them and posting stuff and getting feedback and stuff. So yeah, it's a pleasure talking to all my previous backers, and if anybody of you are listening, I love you.
Oh, that's so that's so nice.
Yeah.
Have you decided on a kind of a price tag? Going back to Dawn in the Purple, have you decided on kind of what the backer levels are going to be, or are you still kind of figuring them out?
Yeah. I think the price for Dawn in Purple will be approximately $49 per copy, plus a little bit of shipping on the top, but that won't be too much. So that is Killer King was $37, I think, but that had not so much components as Dawn in Purple. So,
no,
but I still think it's a fairly good price for all of the stuff you're getting for.
No, I mean it's a very, very good price considering the kind of the bar for Kickstarter seems to be hitting about the $99.
Yeah,
if not kind of creeping over that, which that's kind of, I don't know. I mean, for me, that's kind of getting into kind of unaffordable kind of territory. I think having it at a certain level is fine, but I think once you're creeping over to, like, I've seen a lot of bigger Kickstarters now sitting at about $120, $130 in order to kind of get a respectable kind of deal, and it's kind of like, that is a whack of money to be paying out for something, kind of. So it's good that you've kind of, that's a really kind of reasonable kind of amount. What's next for you though? I mean, are you already looking at what's happening after kind of Donning the Purple, or are you waiting maybe until you get inspiration the next time you're, say, washing your car or going for a jog or painting the house?
Yeah, I pick up inspiration all over the place, but I have a couple of projects that I am developing, but none of them has come so far that I want to share too much about them. I can just,
it's okay.
Yeah, one of them is about the time travel, I can say.
Okay.
And that is a rather complex subject, so I have to do that correctly if it's going to work. But we will see. Maybe it won't be a game after all. But time will tell.
Have you thought about going into kind of like a skirmishing kind of war gaming kind of game yourself?
But I haven't developed it far enough yet to
all right, okay.
to have anything on it.
Kind of guessing all the right things.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Donning the Purple. As I say, I've been aware of his existence. You know, as early as kind of February, March of this year.
Yep.
So it looks really, really interesting. I'm interested in the subject matter. I am, ever since I played a copy of, I think, Viticulture.
Yeah.
Anything kind of worker placement, kind of resource management is kind of becoming more and more my jam. I always thought I was a dungeon crawling boy from heart because of the days of Hero Quest and Space Crusade, but it turns out I'm a guy that likes nothing more than placing discs or cubes in certain places and getting rewards in its kind of place. So, yeah, so that kind of thing, it kind of definitely interests me. For people that are wanting to keep an eye on what you're going to be doing over the next, 3-4 months, where can we find you on the interwebs?
They can go to tompetgames.no or just search on Tompet Games on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff.
Okay. So it's TOMPET.
Yeah.
Games.no, which is obviously for Norway.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Or they can go Facebook. Also, if you're on the UK Tabletop Games page, you often turn up on there.
Yeah.
Are you on the Board Game Geek group or the Board Game group on Facebook? Do you frequent there at all?
Yeah, I try to step lightly in that group as well. You have to be careful with what you're posting there, but I enjoy my group, so yeah.
You just go in and just run past and go, Settlers of Catan's rubbish.
Yeah.
Or just go off. No, I saw, was it yesterday, I saw somebody had decided to put up a post of Mechs versus Minions, and they'd actually posted photographs of what was in the sealed box.
Oh.
Yep. They kind of like had a quick, I said, you better take that photograph down, because otherwise the hounds of hell will be after you, my man.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out tompetgames.no. Search for it on Facebook. Are you on Twitter as well?
Yep.
It's Tompet Games. Yep. So search for it on there. Keep an eye out for Donning the Purple. $49. That's and believe me, I've seen the screenshots and it looks very, very interesting. It's an interesting subject, and certainly worth kind of keeping an eye out on. And obviously keep an eye out with us, because we will definitely be reporting on it, and we'll be getting Petter back on when he's actually running the campaign to do a quick start on the Kickstart, just as a little catch-up chat.
Yeah, sure. I really like those segments, by the way. As a Kickstarter geek, I think that's really an interesting thing you're doing there with the quick starts. So yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, I think the interesting ones are the ones where we get them kind of on at the beginning, and then we get them back on again once they've kind of funded again. So I think we had, I think the most recent one was Richard Keane, who did Dinogenics. Yeah. And I'm going to try and get him on quite soon just to talk about what he thought of the campaign, because we spoke to him on his first day, and I think he just funded, and he was like, I can't believe I funded. And then I think he ended up doing $144,000.
Oh wow!
He just did. Yeah, so he was, how you feeling?
Yeah,
slightly chuffed. I must admit, I'm slightly annoyed with him because he didn't do the thank you video wearing a dinosaur costume. But that is for a discussion between me and him.
Yeah.
If you do want to keep an eye on what we're up to, go to Google, search for We're Not Wizards. You will find us on Twitter at We're Not Wizards. You will find us on Facebook at We're Not Wizards. We are on Instagram at We're Not Wizards. We are on YouTube because our lovely host Podbean automatically put all our podcasts onto YouTube. But you can find us anyway at We're Not Wizards Tabletop Podcast as well. We're on Spreaker, we're on Stitcher, we're on Acast, we're on all the usual places. Podknife, they're new, they're up and coming. Those guys need a little bit of support. Check them out and see what they're up to. If you like what you've heard tonight, then drop us a review on the podcast place where you get your podcast, because that would be very nice. If you like us even more, if you head over to Apple Podcasts and drop us a subscription, and if you like us even more than that, then feel free to drop us a review. Remember, as we always say, and it's a good joke and I'm sticking with it, but don't give us a 10 if you are going to review us, because that'll make us big-headed. And don't give us a 1, because that'll make us cry. Give us a 5, because that's in the middle. It is average, and we are decidedly average. Well, I'm average, but Mr. Petter Schanke Olsen, he's rather fantastic, and you should check out his interviews that he does with Kickstarter creators, because they're very, very good. Keep an eye out on Donning the Purple when it comes out. Just keep an eye on him, because it looks like Donning the Purple might be something very, very special indeed. Petter, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's been brilliant having you on. It's been one of these ones that I've been looking forward to since we kind of arranged it several months ago now. So I really, really appreciate your time. I wish you the best of luck with the campaign, and you shall be coming back on.
Yeah.
You shall be in that hot seat within the first couple of days of the campaign launching, just to see how things are going. There's only a couple more things to do. First of all, thank you for everybody that has been supporting us of late through Facebook, Twitter. we've reached some really important milestones recently, and me and Colin are very humbled by what's been happening with the show of late. The auction that we did with Jamie Stegmaier looks like our last bid was about $550, which I believe means we've got about $1,000 going towards Rachel House, which is the children's hospice, which is about 10 minutes from where me and Colin live. So that's fantastic. So really, really grateful for everybody who helped spread the word and get involved in that. But there are only 2 more things to do. The first thing is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Petter?
Oh no.
How do you say we're not wizards in Norwegian?
Vi ikke trollmanna. Yeah, I said it in my dialect from the middle of Norway, so it sounded a bit strange, I guess.
So remember, we're many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards? Are we wizards, Petter?
Vi ikke trollmanna.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And the second thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from the rather wonderful, the fantastic, the amazing Mr. Petter Schanke Olsen. Goodbye, Petter.
Yeah, goodbye.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll 6s. And you may have killed the king, but keep an eye out, watch your back, plan your resources, and make sure the people are fed if you're wanting to be donning the purple in the future. But until the next time, goodbye.